"You'll never fix this," Mr. Blake sneered, voice cutting through the cold, fluorescent-lit lab like a knife, the clatter of machines and faint hum of servers providing a tense backdrop. Engineers in crisp suits shifted uncomfortably, whispering to one another, their polished shoes clicking softly on the pristine epoxy floor. Lily Harper, 10 years old, with golden hair tied neatly behind her head, stood in the corner, her small hands clutching a worn notebook, eyes scanning the intricate array of wires and blinking lights, as if reading a secret code that adults had long ignored. The air smelled faintly of ozone and new metal, a sharp contrast to the warm scent of lemon polish lingering from the janitorial station where she had been quietly observing for the last 30 minutes. The lab was vast, walls lined with towering machines humming rhythmically, reflective surfaces multiplying the tension 100-fold, each monitor displaying indecipherable strings of data. Mr. Blake strode forward, tall, imposing, his tailored charcoal suit immaculate, every detail screaming wealth and authority, his silver watch catching the light as he gestured at the immobile Prometheus engine. "A child," he muttered under his breath, shaking his head, thinking she can outthink the best engineers in the country. Laughter rippled through the room, soft at first, then louder, filling the high-ceilinged space with disbelief and condescension. Lily pressed herself slightly into the shadows, keeping her chin high, remembering her mother's words from that morning. "Observe everything. Trust your instincts. Silence is power." Her pulse quickened as she stepped closer, notebook tucked under one arm, eyes catching a minute detail on the main console that everyone else had missed, a subtle misalignment of a connector, a pattern only someone with patience and fresh perspective could notice. She breathed deeply, letting the mechanical scent and cold air sharpen her focus, fingertips hovering over the switch she knew would set everything in motion. Around her, engineers exchanged doubtful glances, shaking their heads subtly, their confidence in the machine and in themselves betraying them. The tension was palpable, each second stretching longer as Mr. Blake leaned back, smirk fading slightly as he observed the small girl with an intensity that mixed curiosity and irritation. Lily's lips pressed together, a flicker of determination in her pale blue eyes, as she recalled her quiet hours of study, the late nights memorizing schematics, the secret notes she had taken from her mother's careful explanations. She whispered softly to herself, almost inaudible, "Just watch." The world seemed to narrow to the hum of the machine, the reflective floors, the blinking lights, and the slight tremor of her hand as it moved with precise confidence, her small stature belying the enormous focus and clarity she held within. Every observer in the lab felt the shift, an unspoken tension like the moment before a storm breaks, the air thick with anticipation and disbelief. Each breath counted, each movement magnified, as Lily Harper prepared to do what no one thought possible, standing on the edge of genius and the quiet astonishment of everyone who had ever doubted her. The hum of the machines filled the lab with a steady rhythm, punctuated by the soft whirring of cooling fans and the occasional beep from the monitoring panels. Lily Harper leaned closer to the Prometheus engine, her small hands tracing the contours of the connectors as her mind raced through the schematics she had memorized over countless evenings in her quiet bedroom. The pale light from the overhead panels cast subtle reflections across her golden hair, highlighting the determination etched into her youthful features. Every detail mattered, from the position of a wire to the subtle difference in the display of the main console. Around her, the engineers whispered amongst themselves, glances flicking nervously toward Mr. Blake, who had paused mid-step, the smirk that once dominated his face fading into an expression of cautious intrigue. Lily remembered the advice her mother had given her, soft words delivered while polishing the marble countertops of their small apartment. Attention to detail, patience, and faith in your own mind. She took a deep breath, the faint scent of ozone mixing with the warmth of the lab, grounding her focus. Slowly, she reached for the main switch, fingers light but deliberate, moving with the confidence of someone who had prepared meticulously despite the disbelief surrounding her. The monitors flickered under her gaze, numbers and graphs translating in her mind into patterns that only she could interpret. Mr. Blake watched intently now, leaning slightly against the console, his arms crossed, the room suddenly silent except for the low hum of machinery, a silence so complete it amplified the smallest movement. Lily's eyes caught a subtle anomaly, a sequence misaligned just enough that the engine could not achieve full operation, a detail that had eluded even the most seasoned engineers. Her lips pressed together in concentration as she adjusted the connector, a soft click marking the completion of her precise maneuver. Engineers held their breath, each second stretching impossibly long as the Prometheus engine responded, lights gradually stabilizing, panels lighting up in synchronized harmony, the complex machine whirring steadily as if acknowledging her understanding. A subtle smile touched Lily's lips, not of triumph, but of calm certainty, knowing that her careful observation and quiet persistence had revealed what others had overlooked. The tension in the room shifted palpably. Disbelief mingled with awe as Mr. Blake's eyes widened, the faintest whisper of admiration crossing his features as he realized the magnitude of what the 10-year-old girl had accomplished. Around him, the engineers exhaled, some shaking their heads, others leaning forward to catch a closer glimpse, all recognizing that the solution had come from the smallest figure in the room, quiet yet brilliant. Lily stepped back slightly, notebook tucked under her arm, standing tall in her simple blue dress, her gaze steady as the engine maintained perfect operation, a testament to her ingenuity and unshakable focus. The room remained suspended in that moment, the hum of the Prometheus engine now a gentle, confident pulse echoing the quiet triumph of a mind that had seen what others had missed. And as Mr. Blake's eyes scanned the lab, there was an unspoken acknowledgment that something extraordinary had just unfolded, a realization that brilliance could come from the most unexpected source, leaving an air of anticipation that hinted at discoveries yet to follow beyond this defining instant. As the Prometheus engine settled into a smooth, steady rhythm, the lab seemed to exhale collectively, a soft ambient glow reflecting off the polished surfaces, machines humming in perfect synchrony. Lily Harper stood a few feet away, her small frame silhouetted against the panels, hair catching the light as she tucked a stray strand behind her ear, eyes scanning the room to gauge reactions. Mr. Blake remained frozen mid-step, hand resting lightly on the edge of a console, a mixture of astonishment and reluctant admiration spreading across his features. The engineers, previously tense and skeptical, now leaned forward, their murmurs replaced by cautious smiles, acknowledging the precision and clarity that Lily had brought to a task deemed impossible just moments ago. The faint scent of ozone mingled with the subtle warmth of the overhead lights, grounding the room in a quiet reverence. Lily's gaze drifted to the intricate network of wires, switches, and screens, noting the patterns and symmetries that others had overlooked, her mind already running through the sequence of steps she had executed so flawlessly. Every detail, from the alignment of a tiny connector to the subtle pulsing of the engine's core, testified to her meticulous observation and understanding, a demonstration of intuition honed through patience and careful study. Mr. Blake slowly stepped back, straightening his suit jacket, and allowed a rare, soft exhale, his eyes lingering on Lily with newfound respect. Around him, the engineers exchanged knowing glances, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others nodding quietly, acknowledging that the solution had come from someone they had all underestimated. Lily moved slightly to one side, the light catching the notebook under her arm, pages filled with diagrams, notes, and tiny annotations, each a fragment of the knowledge that had guided her hands and mind to this moment. The lab, which had been a stage of tension and doubt, now felt charged with quiet triumph, the hum of the machinery resonating like a heartbeat in sync with the recognition of her ingenuity. Mr. Blake's voice finally broke the silence, measured and thoughtful. "I did not expect that." The words, simple yet profound, carried through the room, filling the space with a sense of validation and acknowledgment. Lily Harper's small frame seemed to expand with the awareness of what she had accomplished, not through force or volume, but through careful observation, understanding, and quiet confidence. The engineers began to move with renewed energy, adjusting minor components and calibrating measurements, their previous frustration replaced by collaborative determination, each inspired by the demonstration of brilliance from such an unexpected source. The room settled into a rhythm of focused activity, guided by the insight that had emerged from Lily's perceptive mind, and the gentle glow of the panels reflected not only the machine's operational success, but the quiet triumph of intellect and diligence over assumption and doubt. Even the subtle movements of Mr. Blake, previously domineering and assertive, now conveyed respect and curiosity, his attention fully engaged in observing the child whose quiet mind had unveiled solutions that had eluded the most seasoned professionals. And as Lily stood, poised and calm, the lab remained suspended in a moment that seemed to stretch indefinitely, a tableau of recognition, potential, and the quiet power of a mind that refused to be underestimated, leaving an air of anticipation for what she might accomplish next beyond this defining instant. The lab was filled with a subtle vibration as the Prometheus engine maintained its flawless operation, lights flickering softly across the polished steel surfaces, casting a gentle glow that highlighted every corner of the room. Lily Harper stood slightly to the side, notebook clutched under her arm, her posture calm yet alert, eyes moving continuously to observe the reactions of the engineers and Mr. Blake. The air smelled faintly of warm metal and clean floors, mingling with the subtle scent of electrical components, creating an atmosphere of focused anticipation. Mr. Blake's face reflected a mixture of disbelief and admiration, the faint lines around his eyes softening as he realized that the child had solved a problem that had challenged even the most experienced minds. The engineers, initially skeptical, now gathered around the control panels, pointing out subtle adjustments and nodding to one another, acknowledging the clarity and precision of Lily's approach. Her small hands rested lightly on the edge of the console, her fingers brushing against the smooth surface, yet her mind was fully engaged, scanning data, monitoring the patterns, and absorbing the responses of the system she had just brought to life. She remembered the countless evenings spent studying diagrams, memorizing schematics, and quietly practicing problem-solving in the dim light of her bedroom, moments that had felt invisible at the time but had prepared her for this instant. Around her, the room seemed to pulse with renewed energy, the hum of machinery blending with the soft footsteps of engineers moving efficiently, adjusting settings, and validating the results of her interventions. Mr. Blake walked slowly along the perimeter of the engine, his sharp eyes tracing the flow of data, watching Lily's every gesture with a newfound respect, and as he stopped near her, he allowed a rare smile to form, the first sign that he recognized the brilliance standing before him. Lily's gaze met his briefly, a quiet understanding passing between them, the acknowledgment of capability and potential that transcended age and experience. The ambient lights reflected off the walls and floor, creating a luminous web of shadows and highlights that seemed to dance in time with the subtle fluctuations of the engine, each flicker echoing the precision of her actions. In that moment, the lab became a space not just of technology but of revelation, a testament to the power of observation, intellect, and persistence. Every engineer present felt the shift, an unspoken recognition that genius could appear in the most unexpected forms, and the energy in the room changed, moving from tension and doubt to curiosity, admiration, and the eager anticipation of collaboration. Lily adjusted a small dial on the control panel with confidence, eyes bright with comprehension, while Mr. Blake and the engineers exchanged approving glances, the hum of the Prometheus engine continuing to resonate with unwavering steadiness. The entire scene, framed by the polished surfaces, glowing lights, and precise movements, reflected a quiet triumph, a celebration of insight, patience, and the extraordinary results that could come from a focused mind, leaving the room suspended in the realization that something remarkable had just occurred, and that even greater discoveries might be just within reach. The atmosphere in the lab shifted subtly as the initial shock of Lily Harper's accomplishment settled into a quiet appreciation, the soft hum of the Prometheus engine filling the space with a rhythmic pulse that seemed to echo the collective heartbeat of everyone present. Lily's golden hair caught the overhead light as she stepped back slightly, eyes scanning the monitors with meticulous attention, observing every pattern, every fluctuation, ensuring that the operation she had initiated maintained its perfect balance. Mr. Blake, still leaning lightly against the edge of a console, crossed his arms and allowed a faint nod of approval, his sharp eyes softening as he took in the precision and confidence displayed by the young girl. The engineers, previously tense and skeptical, began moving methodically, adjusting minor calibrations, their gestures careful and precise, guided by the subtle cues of Lily's insight and the patterns she had unveiled. The room, once charged with tension and doubt, now resonated with a sense of calm focus, a quiet collaboration built upon the foundation of respect for the intelligence that had solved a problem deemed impossible. The air smelled faintly of ozone, warmed by the gentle hum of machinery, and the light reflected off polished steel and glass, creating a luminous environment that emphasized the gravity of the moment without overwhelming it. Lily adjusted a small dial with delicate precision, noting the subtle changes in readings, her mind moving fluidly between observation, calculation, and intuition, a skill honed through countless hours of careful study and quiet problem-solving. Mr. Blake watched, intrigued and increasingly impressed, his usual commanding presence softened by the acknowledgment that brilliance could manifest in unexpected ways, and that the solutions of a careful and attentive mind could outshine even the most experienced engineers in the room. The engineers exchanged glances, some leaning forward, others pausing to observe Lily's movements, all silently recognizing the quiet authority of competence and intelligence expressed through her small but decisive actions. The lab's ambient hum and the gentle whir of fans created a background cadence that matched the rhythm of focused activity, the space alive with subtle energy, an unspoken understanding that a turning point had occurred. Lily Harper, standing tall yet poised with humility, glanced briefly at Mr. Blake, sensing his acknowledgment and approval, a silent communication that bridged the gap between age, experience, and youthful ingenuity. The polished floors reflected the lights above, each panel casting soft, intricate reflections that danced across the room, emphasizing the elegance and complexity of the environment in which this extraordinary display of intellect had occurred. As minor adjustments were completed and the engine's operation stabilized further, the lab seemed to exhale, a collective sense of accomplishment and admiration permeating the space, leaving an impression of quiet triumph and the promise of even greater achievements ahead. Every eye remained attentive, every gesture deliberate, the scene unfolding as a tableau of concentration, mutual respect, and the extraordinary impact of insight and perseverance that transcended expectations, allowing Lily Harper to stand as a testament to the power of observation, intelligence, and the courage to act decisively in the face of doubt. The energy in the lab shifted subtly as Lily Harper continued her careful observations, her golden hair shimmering under the fluorescent lights while her eyes scanned every gauge, dial, and flickering panel for even the smallest irregularity. The Prometheus engine hummed steadily, its inner mechanisms working in perfect harmony, responding to the precise adjustments she had made moments earlier. Mr. Blake, arms crossed, stood silently to one side, his usually commanding presence softened by the astonishment he could not hide, the corners of his mouth twitching as he processed the reality before him. Around the room, the engineers began to whisper, their voices low and tinged with admiration, sharing subtle glances and nods as they recognized the clarity and foresight Lily had demonstrated. The air smelled faintly of ozone and warm metal, the lab quiet except for the consistent hum of the machinery, each sound amplified by the wide, high-ceilinged space. Lily adjusted a small knob on the main console, her hands steady, her mind fully absorbed in the logic of the engine, noting the interplay of currents and voltage, each measurement confirming her understanding of the system. The reflection of light on the polished floors created intricate patterns that mirrored the complexity of the engineering challenge she had navigated with such precision. Mr. Blake shifted slightly, taking a measured step forward, his gaze fixed on Lily's movements, every expression on his face betraying a growing respect and a realization that brilliance could manifest in forms that defied expectation. The engineers, now fully engaged, began to move methodically, recalibrating minor components and observing the response of the engine, guided by the subtle indicators Lily had highlighted. She remained calm and focused, her small stature belying the intellectual command she held over the complex system, each decision precise, each observation deliberate, demonstrating a mastery born of careful study and quiet determination. The room seemed to pulse with anticipation and curiosity, the hum of the machinery resonating with the sense of discovery and accomplishment that filled the space. Lily Harper's eyes flicked momentarily to Mr. Blake, noting the subtle change in his posture, the softening of his gaze, and the slight nod that acknowledged her skill and insight. The lab was transformed into a space of quiet triumph, a place where intellect and perseverance had quietly triumphed over assumption and doubt, and the soft glow of the panels cast long, elegant shadows that highlighted both the sophistication of the technology and the extraordinary capability of the child who had guided it to life. Each engineer worked with renewed confidence, inspired by the demonstration of focused attention and analytical thinking, the subtle hum of the Prometheus engine providing a rhythmic accompaniment to the careful orchestration unfolding under Lily's watchful eyes. In that moment, every movement, every adjustment, and every glance in the lab reflected a shared understanding that something remarkable had occurred, a demonstration that extraordinary results could emerge from careful observation, insight, and the courage to act with precision, leaving the atmosphere charged with anticipation for the next challenge that awaited beyond this quiet triumph. The hum of the Prometheus engine filled the lab with a steady, reassuring rhythm, each vibration resonating through the polished floor and reflecting off the sleek metallic surfaces, creating a quiet symphony of precision and control. Lily Harper stood slightly back from the main console, her golden hair catching the overhead lights, eyes focused intently on the displays that flickered with data she understood in ways that others had yet to grasp. The air smelled faintly of ozone and warmed metal, a subtle reminder of the powerful machinery she had just mastered. Around her, the engineers moved with a newfound respect, their whispers of admiration replacing the earlier murmurs of doubt. Glances exchanged silently as each acknowledged the skill and insight of the young girl who had defied expectation. Mr. Blake, normally so composed and commanding, now leaned lightly against the console, hands folded, gaze following Lily's every motion, the soft light highlighting the mixture of astonishment and genuine recognition on his face. Every small movement of her hands, every subtle adjustment she made to the dials and switches, seemed to command the room's attention, her precision guiding the complex systems with an ease that belied her age. The engineers began to fine-tune their own work, inspired by her example, aligning sensors and adjusting circuits as they followed the patterns Lily had revealed, a quiet collaboration forming organically in the wake of her demonstration. Lily's lips pressed together in concentration, eyes flicking from one panel to the next, processing readings and adjusting responses with the calm assurance of someone who had spent years developing an intuitive understanding of complex systems. Mr. Blake's eyes lingered on her, a soft sigh escaping his lips, a sign of both relief and admiration, as he realized that the solution had come not from the wealth of experience in the room, but from a focused, observant mind willing to see what others could not. The reflective surfaces of the lab cast intricate patterns of light that danced around her, echoing the elegance and subtlety of her actions, each movement deliberate, each observation precise. The hum of the machinery seemed to match the rhythm of the room, a steady backdrop to the quiet triumph unfolding before them, emphasizing the contrast between expectation and reality, skepticism and revelation. Lily Harper, standing poised yet relaxed, embodied the power of intellect and observation, her small frame commanding respect through the clarity and accuracy of her mind. The room, once tense and filled with doubt, now carried a sense of harmony and collaboration, engineers and the CEO alike recognizing that brilliance could manifest in unexpected ways. Every instrument responded with perfect balance. Every display confirmed the stability she had ensured, and the subtle glow of the panels bathed the lab in a warm, steady light, highlighting the extraordinary results of patience, insight, and careful study. In that moment, the lab was not merely a workspace but a stage for quiet achievement, the collective awareness of those present enriched by the realization that remarkable skill could come from the most unexpected place, leaving a lingering sense of possibility and anticipation for what might come next. The tension in the lab began to soften as Lily Harper's steady presence and precise actions brought a sense of calm authority to the room, her golden hair catching the soft glow of the overhead lights, while her eyes continued to scan the panels and readouts with unwavering focus. Mr. Blake, standing a few feet away, allowed himself a slow exhale, his posture less rigid, and his gaze fixed on Lily with a mixture of admiration and curiosity, recognizing the depth of understanding that had guided every movement she made. The engineers, who had been skeptical moments ago, now moved with deliberate care, following the patterns Lily had highlighted, adjusting circuits and dials with renewed confidence, each action echoing the clarity and foresight she had demonstrated. The Prometheus engine hummed consistently, a testament to her meticulous work, the subtle vibrations resonating through the polished floor and reflecting softly off the smooth surfaces of the machinery and consoles. Lily's hands moved lightly across a series of switches and indicators, her attention entirely on the readings, adjusting minuscule settings with precision, as if conversing silently with the complex system she had tamed through patience and observation. The room was bathed in the quiet light of the panels, reflecting a gentle glow that made every movement, every glance, and every adjustment stand out against the sleek metallic and glass surfaces. Mr. Blake's expression softened further, a rare smile touching his features as he acknowledged the brilliance and poise of the young girl who had quietly taken control of a situation deemed impossible for even the most seasoned engineers. Whispered comments of approval and recognition began to circulate among the engineers, a subtle chorus of admiration as each realized the ingenuity behind Lily's approach, the depth of her focus, and the intelligence guiding her hands. The ambient scent of warm metal and faint ozone lent a tangible weight to the moment, grounding the extraordinary display of skill in the tangible reality of the lab's environment. Lily stepped slightly back, observing the engine's stable operation, the gentle pulsing of lights, and steady hum reinforcing her quiet triumph, each data point confirming the correctness of her adjustments and foresight. Mr. Blake shifted, placing a hand lightly on the edge of the console, eyes never leaving her as he considered the implications of her accomplishment, the respect in his gaze unmistakable, the subtle tension of disbelief now replaced with appreciation. The engineers continued to monitor the systems, inspired by Lily's example, performing minor recalibrations while maintaining a reverent awareness of the extraordinary performance she had facilitated. The polished floor and reflective surfaces captured the room in a cascade of light and shadow, amplifying the elegance of both the technology and the quiet authority Lily projected. In this moment, the lab was transformed from a space of doubt and skepticism into one of attentive observation, collaboration, and recognition, every participant understanding that insight, diligence, and focused intellect could emerge from the most unexpected source. The hum of the Prometheus engine, steady and unwavering, became a rhythm that mirrored the room's shared understanding and the anticipation of future possibilities, a quiet promise that the accomplishments of Lily Harper were only the beginning of what this small yet extraordinary mind could achieve. The room seemed to hold its collective breath as Lily Harper, small and composed, took one deliberate step forward, her gaze locked on the Prometheus engine as if reading a language only she could understand. Every panel flickered softly under the gentle rhythm of the machinery, the hum of the engines blending with the quiet intake of breath from the engineers who had once doubted her. Mr. Blake stood a few feet away, his usually commanding presence subdued, arms crossed loosely, a subtle tension lingering in his posture as his eyes tracked her every motion, curiosity and admiration mixing in equal measure. The polished floors reflected the soft glow of the consoles and screens, creating shifting patterns of light that mirrored the intricate network of wires and circuits beneath Lily's careful observation. Her hands hovered over the main interface, the tips brushing lightly against the cold metal as she prepared to execute the next step, each adjustment calculated with the precision of someone who had spent countless hours mastering the details no one else had noticed. The engineers watched silently, leaning in, their whispers replaced by focused observation, noting the meticulous way Lily interpreted the data, adjusted the dials, and anticipated the subtle interactions of the system. The smell of warm metal and faint ozone hung in the air, grounding the extraordinary scene in the tangible reality of the lab. Lily's mind moved fluidly between observation and intuition, interpreting the numerical displays as a complex pattern, a language of voltages and feedback loops that the machine communicated quietly to her alone. Her eyes flicked momentarily to Mr. Blake, reading the faint surprise and recognition in his expression, a silent acknowledgment passing between them that transcended words, connecting her quiet confidence with his dawning respect. The lab, once a place of tension and disbelief, now felt alive with attentive energy, the hum of the Prometheus engine a steady backdrop to the unfolding demonstration of insight, patience, and intelligence. Each slight motion of Lily's fingers brought a new alignment, a subtle correction, a stabilization that had previously eluded the most experienced engineers. The panels glowed steadily, the readings perfect, a visual testament to her methodical approach and innate understanding. Mr. Blake finally exhaled, a slow, deliberate motion, his eyes reflecting both astonishment and the realization that the solution had come from the one person he had underestimated. The engineers began to move in harmony with the system, adjusting minor components, their respect for Lily evident in every deliberate movement, their confidence bolstered by the clarity she had provided. The reflective surfaces amplified the elegance of the moment, light bouncing across consoles and machinery, highlighting the quiet mastery of her small frame. Lily stood poised and calm, her focus unbroken, the gentle glow of the panels illuminating the intelligence and resolve that had guided her hands. The lab had transformed into a space of quiet triumph, where observation, intellect, and precise action had converged, and as the hum of the machinery continued steadily, every person present sensed the extraordinary impact of a mind unrecognized until this defining moment, leaving a lingering anticipation of even greater achievements yet to come. The lab fell into a profound stillness as the Prometheus engine thrummed steadily, a harmonious hum that filled the vast space with a sense of completion and quiet awe. Lily Harper, small yet commanding in her focus, moved with deliberate care, her eyes scanning the array of blinking panels and precise meters, ensuring that every reading aligned with the flawless operation she had orchestrated. Her golden hair glimmered under the bright fluorescent lights, framing a face composed and thoughtful, revealing the calm confidence of someone who had mastered the challenge through keen observation and meticulous preparation. Mr. Blake, standing nearby, allowed himself a moment of rare stillness, arms loosely crossed, shoulders relaxed for the first time that day, his eyes wide with admiration as he traced the sequence of steps Lily had taken with an almost reverent attention. Around him, the engineers exchanged quiet, astonished glances, some stepping back slightly, others leaning in to catch details they had previously overlooked, all acknowledging the extraordinary clarity and insight that had emerged from such an unexpected source. The subtle scent of warm metal and faint ozone permeated the air, mingling with the soft mechanical hums, creating a tangible rhythm that mirrored the careful balance Lily had achieved. Her hands moved lightly across switches and knobs, performing final calibrations with precision, each motion confident and measured, demonstrating a deep understanding of the complex interactions within the engine. The room seemed to pulse gently with the alignment of intellect and machinery, each reflection on polished surfaces emphasizing the sophistication of the instruments and the extraordinary competence of the young girl guiding them. Mr. Blake's gaze followed her every motion, his expression softening as the full impact of her accomplishment settled in, a rare, approving nod betraying the respect he felt for the combination of patience, insight, and determination that Lily had displayed. The engineers adjusted minor components, following her example with renewed diligence, their earlier doubts replaced by an unspoken recognition of talent, the air now charged with quiet admiration and a collaborative energy that had been absent before. Light bounced off the glass and metal, highlighting the intricate network of circuits, monitors, and data streams, each glow a testament to the precision of her work and the subtle brilliance of her mind. Lily stepped back slightly, her eyes sweeping the lab to observe the reactions, the hum of the engine steady and smooth, reflecting her control and the stability she had established. Mr. Blake allowed a small, surprised smile to form, his usual reserve giving way to recognition, while the engineers began to whisper among themselves, acknowledging the exceptional clarity and capability she had demonstrated. Every observer in the lab felt the shift in atmosphere, a mixture of amazement, respect, and quiet celebration, the soft pulse of the engine echoing the satisfaction of a problem finally solved. In that suspended moment, Lily Harper's careful observation, calm determination, and precise action had transformed a room of skepticism into one of collective acknowledgment, leaving the lab resonating with the promise of what extraordinary insight and patience could accomplish, and hinting at the achievements yet to unfold beyond this remarkable instant. The lab gradually settled into a calm rhythm as the hum of the Prometheus engine resonated steadily, a low, confident pulse that filled every corner of the polished space. Lily Harper remained poised near the control panel, her small frame illuminated by the gentle glow of the monitors, hair catching the overhead lights as she observed each gauge with unerring focus, ensuring the delicate balance she had achieved continued without fluctuation. Mr. Blake, standing a few paces away, allowed a rare expression of admiration to form across his face, shoulders relaxing, arms uncrossing as he absorbed the full extent of her accomplishment. The engineers, once tense and uncertain, now worked methodically, following the subtle cues Lily had established, adjusting minor settings and calibrating components with a newfound confidence inspired by her clarity and insight. The scent of warm metal and faint ozone lingered in the air, grounding the scene in the tangible presence of sophisticated machinery that now operated flawlessly under her guidance. Lily's hands moved lightly, precise and deliberate, over switches and dials, her mind fully engaged in the interplay of currents, voltages, and feedback loops, each adjustment confirming her deep understanding and command of the complex system. Mr. Blake watched every motion, occasionally leaning closer to scrutinize a sequence of readings, the soft light reflecting in his eyes as he processed the intelligence and composure of the young girl before him. Whispered observations and murmurs of respect traveled among the engineers, their body language softening, heads nodding subtly, acknowledging the ingenuity that had emerged from such an unexpected source. The reflective surfaces of the lab cast intricate patterns of light that accentuated the elegance of the machinery and the quiet authority Lily projected. As she adjusted one final dial, the engine's display stabilized completely, panels glowing steadily, the hum smooth and confident, signaling the seamless integration of her insight into the system. Mr. Blake finally stepped closer, his expression thoughtful, lips parted slightly in acknowledgment, and he allowed a slow, deliberate nod of approval, a subtle but unmistakable recognition of the exceptional talent and patience that had brought the engine to life. The engineers now moved with calm assurance, coordinating minor adjustments and observing the results, inspired by the example Lily had set, their previous skepticism replaced by professional respect. The entire lab seemed to breathe collectively, the ambient hum of the engine underscoring the transformation from tension and doubt to admiration, recognition, and quiet celebration. Lily stood poised, her attention unwavering, absorbing the reactions around her, confident that the system she had mastered would continue to operate flawlessly. Light reflected off glass and polished metal, highlighting the intricate network of wires, circuits, and monitors that she had guided to perfect harmony. The room, once charged with uncertainty, now radiated quiet triumph, a testament to careful observation, analytical thinking, and determination, leaving every person present with a sense of awe and the realization that extraordinary talent could emerge from the most unexpected source. And as the engine continued its steady hum, a feeling of anticipation lingered, hinting at opportunities and achievements that awaited just beyond this remarkable moment. The lab had settled into a serene rhythm, the Prometheus engine humming smoothly, as if breathing with quiet satisfaction, a steady pulse that filled every corner with a calm energy. Lily Harper stood slightly back, observing the panels and gauges, her golden hair catching the soft overhead light, eyes bright and thoughtful, reflecting a mind that had not only solved the immediate challenge but grasped the deeper patterns within the complex system. Mr. Blake, now fully relaxed, allowed a rare smile to cross his face, the tension and skepticism of the morning replaced with admiration and a quiet respect that spoke volumes without words. The engineers moved with renewed focus and purpose, aligning minor components, verifying readings, and collaborating with a sense of harmony that had been absent before, each step guided subtly by the framework Lily had demonstrated. The subtle scent of warm metal mingled with faint traces of ozone, grounding the extraordinary scene in the tangible environment of the lab, while the glow from the consoles reflected on polished steel and glass surfaces, highlighting the intricate connections that Lily had mastered. Her hands rested lightly on the edge of the console, posture poised, a quiet confidence emanating from her, showing that patience, observation, and analytical thinking could achieve what force or experience alone could not. Mr. Blake stepped forward slightly, nodding almost imperceptibly, a silent acknowledgment of the remarkable insight and composure displayed by the young girl before him. Whispered comments and approving glances passed between the engineers, subtle signs of recognition that brilliance had emerged from the most unexpected source, that talent could manifest in ways that defied conventional assumptions. Lily Harper's eyes swept the room, noting the reactions with quiet satisfaction, not for praise but in acknowledgment of the shared understanding and the new respect that had formed in the lab. Light reflected across the polished floor, casting elongated shadows and intricate patterns on the walls, emphasizing both the elegance of the technology and the extraordinary clarity of thought that had guided it. The hum of the engine, steady and unwavering, underscored the sense of accomplishment and completion, resonating with the quiet triumph of intellect and diligence. Every movement, every gesture, and every expression in the room now carried a sense of reverence and appreciation for careful study, patience, and decisive action. The engineers continued to work efficiently, inspired by her example, while Mr. Blake observed, eyes softened, contemplating the lessons learned from witnessing a mind so focused and precise. Lily's quiet presence, her mastery of the complex system, and the calm authority she projected transformed the lab into a space not only of technical achievement, but also of recognition and human respect. The scene was alive with an understanding that insight and perseverance, when paired with careful observation, could reshape perceptions, bridge gaps in expectation, and leave a lasting impression of brilliance that extended far beyond the moment, hinting at possibilities and discoveries that were still waiting to be realized. The hum of the Prometheus engine had become a gentle, almost soothing presence in the lab, a constant reminder of the precision and care that had guided every action that day. Lily Harper stood slightly to the side, notebook in hand, her small frame radiating quiet confidence as her eyes swept the room, observing the reactions of the engineers and Mr. Blake alike. The polished floors reflected the soft glow of the monitors, casting a delicate pattern of light across the walls and machinery, emphasizing the elegance and complexity of both the technology and the accomplishment before them. Mr. Blake finally allowed himself a full smile, subtle yet genuine, the earlier skepticism and tension replaced by admiration and recognition, a silent acknowledgment of the extraordinary skill and composure of the young girl who had transformed the lab through observation, intellect, and precise action. The engineers moved with newfound energy and focus, inspired by her demonstration, coordinating adjustments, verifying readings, and sharing quiet nods of approval, each action reflecting respect and appreciation for the clarity she had brought to the complex system. The air carried a faint scent of warm metal and ozone, grounding the extraordinary scene in reality, while the reflective surfaces captured every subtle motion, highlighting the careful interplay of light, color, and purpose that defined the moment. Lily adjusted a final dial with deliberate care, confirming the stability of the system, her eyes scanning the engine one last time to ensure all readings were optimal, her posture calm yet commanding, a testament to patience, preparation, and keen observation. Mr. Blake stepped closer, observing her with quiet reverence, the usual authority in his stance tempered by the realization that brilliance could emerge from unexpected sources, that age and stature were not the sole markers of capability. The engineers murmured quietly among themselves, sharing looks of amazement and respect, the energy in the room shifting from one of anticipation to one of subtle celebration, a recognition that careful thought, insight, and perseverance had achieved what had once seemed impossible. Light reflected across the polished panels and floors, dancing gently over Lily's poised figure as she moved with the calm authority of someone in command of both the task and the room's attention. The Prometheus engine hummed steadily, a rhythm that seemed to echo the satisfaction of accomplishment, the quiet triumph of intellect meeting challenge. Mr. Blake nodded slowly, a silent acknowledgment that the day's lesson had extended beyond technical achievement, reflecting the power of observation, clarity, and courage to act decisively. Every individual in the lab felt the subtle shift in atmosphere, a combination of awe, admiration, and inspiration, understanding that talent and insight could appear in forms previously unconsidered. Lily Harper, small yet extraordinary, had demonstrated not only mastery of the complex machinery but the quiet, enduring impact of intellect, patience, and focus, leaving a lingering sense of possibility and anticipation for the discoveries, innovations, and achievements that would surely follow, long after this defining moment had passed, a testament to the unassuming power of a mind that had refused to be underestimated and had quietly transformed the expectations of all who had witnessed her.